The reason why your money is inconsistent in your business is because you caught up doing work that you shouldn't be doing. So while you doing that work that you could easily be paying somebody else to do it, if you create a system around it, right, you can be spending more time building relationships, doing things that are actually gonna drive money to the business.
Welcome to another episode of the Traffic Sales and Profit Show. I'm your host, Lamar Tyler. And if you're a Black entrepreneur looking to grow or scale your company or to grow and scale your wealth, you're in the right spot. And today I got my man, Dante Stephens. What's up, Dante?
What's up, Lamar?
Mr. CEO Mindset himself. And we want to talk about maybe adjust some things about the way they think, right? And the way they view themselves, the way they view their businesses, how to elevate higher, right, to a different position and all those things like that.
Yeah.
But first of all, I just want to say thank you for coming in.
Man, I appreciate you for having me here, brother. You know what I mean? To be in this space, to be in this chair with so many amazing people that has already been on this podcast, been in this room. Brother, it's my honor to be here, man. I'm so thankful, man, that you reached out. Man, I'm thankful for the opportunity.
Let me ask you, because you said you watched the show. I'm gonna put you on the spot. Favorite guest that you seen us have?
Oh my goodness, man. Man, you have some heavy hitters on here, bro. You know, I'm a Ash Cash fan.
Okay.
I've been rocking with Ash Cash, man, since y'all did like a speaking engagement together. One, oh man, I can't remember.
The TD Jakes?
Yep,
the
the
Black
TD
Enterprise.
Jakes. Yep. So man, that guy right there, man, he had me sold. Then, actually, Kirkwood.
Yeah,
because you know I love this whole speaking thing. So she's dope, man. You got some amazing, man. But you know, I know you kind of got a lot of people in your arsenal, though. You know what I mean? You got a lot of.
Dad, I got people in the bag they don't even know about
like
yet.
You got people in the bag on top of the other bag, right? Like you, you got some dope people. But those are the first two that kind of.
I love it. Whenever somebody tell me they watch, I always like to get out of. And listen, if y'all haven't seen those 2 episodes, go get that Ashley Kirkwood episode. She talk about speaking your way to cash.
Yeah,
and Ash Cash, man, Mr. Abundance is your birthright. There was 2 good ones. You plucked 2 good ones out the pack.
Man.
But,
yeah, they dope.
But listen, you yourself, been a successful entrepreneur, now a public speaker, right? I want to talk a little bit about your story. And first, I want to start by, what does CEO mindset even mean?
So CEO mindset, man, is really a lifestyle. You know what I mean? It's a lifestyle brand, and it's crazy, man, because I don't even think you know that you're the reason why CEO mindset exists.
Really?
I don't know if you know or not, but we had a conversation. It's been some years ago, right? We was communicating on Messenger, and there's at that particular time I was still in my home theater business, right? So it was another guy that you was talking about. You were referencing this guy in our conversation because he did something in the service-based business as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you were saying something to the fact that you told him he need to get with me or talk to me because he need to get that CEO mindset. And what you did, you planted that seed in my mind, because at first, the way I look at you, I'm like, this my mentor for one, but I'm thinking like, this guy's like the man. You know what I mean? And that's how he referencing me. It's like a brand, right? It's like, it's what people say about you when you're not in the room. So in that moment, you told me something that about myself when you was in the room with somebody else when I wasn't there. And you was like, CEO mindset. So it kind of planted that seed. Now, I didn't know what I wanted to do with it once I heard it.
Right.
But I kind of took it, created an LLC behind it because I was getting into the coaching and the speaking and all of that. So I kind of just played with it for a minute. But now I'm kind of like shifting, making it more like specific to clothing, you know what I mean? So you see me in the shirt and the hat. But I just want to give people that inspiration they need, man, to understand that they are the CEOs of their lives. You know what I mean? I don't care if you work a 9 to 5, if you own your own business. I don't care what you're doing. Your mindset is going to determine your success, right? So how you show up in the world and how you do things is going to be based on the decisions that you make. And if you can make any decision in your life based on a high-performing CEO, man, you can achieve success in anything you want to do in life. So that's how CEO mindset kind of manifested and how it, that's where it birthed on. It was birthed from you. So thank
I
you
had no idea.
for that. I figured that.
I got a little
But,
percentage of that company.
we'll talk about
you ain't
it.
thank me that much.
Talk about it off
All right.
camera. You know what I'm
You good
saying?
for now. You good. You good for now.
Yeah.
For now, I'm gonna circle back. Right. I'll wait till you get about 100 million. I'm gonna circle back in episode 20X of the TSP show right here. He says, "Your Honor."
Oh man.
But no, this is good. And one of the things, I don't remember the name per se, but I do remember having conversations like that.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that stood out about you to me were that, hey, you know what? You mentioned a home theater automation business that you had.
Right.
Okay, there are millions of people probably to say, all right, I'm gonna make extra money hanging TVs.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't your approach or your mindset around it.
Mm-hmm.
Your mindset around it was that, no, I'm gonna be a CEO of a company that, hey, you know what? We may have started out like hanging TVs, but then we learned home automation. Then we're doing security systems, then we're doing closed circuit TVs. Then we're doing installations at SunTrust Park where the Braves play, and like elevated it up, right? I remember, I think y'all had like 100-unit apartment building or something that y'all were doing.
Yep.
But like I said, being able to elevate it up, and I think a lot of times entrepreneurs that have a hustle and may have a great trade, a great skill set, they say, well, what is it? How can I get those type of jobs and get out of like doing this single stuff from house to house to house? Yeah. But it wasn't so much about a hookup or a connect. To me, it's always the way you thought.
Yeah. And I gotta contribute a lot of that to you in TSP, because at that particular time, you were my first coach, right? So getting into the mastermind and all of that, being in the mastermind helped me shift my mindset from just kind of like that hustler mindset. You know what I mean? Because I always talk to people, and I think we had this conversation before, like, you can really like hustle your way to six figures, right? You know what I'm saying? You can put your head down and you can hustle your way to six figures. But to make that shift from like 6 to 7, it takes a totally different mindset. And when I got into the mastermind, I was still like, multiple six figure or whatever like that. To be honest, I didn't even know I did six figures until I built up the courage to go do my taxes, because I needed to buy a house, you know what I mean? And I wasn't doing it, reporting my income. So when I did my tax, I realized, oh, I did six figures. So I really just did it and didn't even know I did. Like I did it by mistake, you know what I mean? But when I got in the mastermind, it was like, okay, I got to get to the next, I got to get to the next level. You know what I mean? And I say people can hustle their way to six figures is because you can do 100 different things, and you can just be out here just trying to make money. You ain't worried about your target audience. You ain't worried about none of that stuff. You just worried about the next thing you can do to make some money. But when I got with you and got in the mastermind, I realized, like, in order to really get clear, in order to really get to that next level, you got to get clear about who you serve, how you serve them, understanding, like you said earlier, like we went from TVs to automation and all of that. But even in that, you had to figure out, okay, which one of these make money? You know what I mean? Yeah. Another thing we had to learn, like shifting to that CEO mindset, you got to learn, like, you got to look at the numbers. You got to, like, it's one thing to know, hey, I made this much money. It's another thing to know how I made that money. You know what I'm saying? What's actually making the money? What's the real driver? So once I really got in and started realizing, like, looking at successful people like you and other people that's in the mastermind and people that I was surrounded by, I started seeing like the common thread. And that's when that CEO mindset really started coming through and things start shifting for me. So I contribute that to just being that's the power of association. The people you're around and people you can learn from. So that CEO mindset started shifting really when I got in the mastermind.
Now, what's interesting is that, hey, you built the first business, right? Successfully. What were some of the hardest parts of building that business?
The hardest part of building that business?
Or let me be more specific, right? About going from, hey, you know what? I'm just, hanging TVs on walls myself to building out, learning all these different skills, right? Becoming more of like a engineer. I always use kind of like an engineer. If you say, you got to a point where you say, hey, I'm not in the field necessarily doing it. I'm just drawing up the designs, right? In the scheme of what happens, like, but then also starting to build a team and bring people around. Like, what was the hardest part of kind of growing to that stage?
The hardest part was getting out of my own way. You know what I'm saying? I think when we have a business, when we start a business, we be like really emotionally tied to it. You know what I'm saying? It's an emotional thing. We treat it like a baby. You know what I mean? And I think once I got over that hurdle and realized like, man, I can do so much more if I take my skill set, if I take the things that's in my head that I know and document it. You know what I'm saying? Because we do the same thing over and over again. But some of these things I'm doing, I don't have to keep doing.
Yeah.
Because one thing I realized, right? Like when you look at your finances in your business, and people are always talking about like the money go up and down and it's inconsistent, right? The reason why your money is inconsistent in your business is because you caught up doing work that you shouldn't be doing. So while you doing that work that you could easily be paying somebody else to do it, if you create a system around it, right? You can be spending more time building relationship, doing things that are actually gonna drive money to the business. And that's where I was. Like I was doing so much of the work and everything was falling on my lap. So when I got past the emotional piece of it and realizing, like, start looking at the big picture, I was like, man, I could actually be home more. I can work, you know what I'm saying? I can be free from having to be in addicts and all of that stuff if I just show somebody else how to do it and show them what I know and trust them to do it. I think that was the main thing, man, just the emotional aspect, getting that out of the way, creating the systems, and then trusting the systems.
That's good. Now, you got that business, it's successful, it's moving. But at some point, right, the CEO mindset, is it calling you? You begin to want to make a transition to being a speaker and more of a coach. Like tell me about that stage. Like what was that like to be in one thing but being pulled in another direction?
Well, so I got this point that I always make. I say, I tell people in a heartbeat, nothing is permanent. You know what I mean? Like one day I remember waking up one morning and I just didn't like, it was almost like a feeling like I was still working a 9 to 5 type of deal. Like I done a lot in that business, right? And you'll think, oh, you got it, you got people working for you. Oh, this is the holy grail, right? But something wasn't sitting well with me internally. See, if we really listen to what's going on inside of us, it tells us a lot. Like it's only so much of you chasing the money and chasing this and that and the third, man. At some point, you got to sit down and listen. And I got to a point, man, I would wake up and it was just like, I don't want to do this no more. Like it was equivalent to when I was working a 9 to 5 and I didn't want to go to that job. And I questioned it. I was like, what is this? And I remember it was like a Monday. I went out for my morning run, but this time when I ran, I didn't take like no music or nothing. Where I didn't want to listen to no music, no podcast, no nothing. And I remember going on this run, and all I could do was just ask God, like, "What are you telling me? Like, why am I feeling like this? Like I gotta think about it, bro. I got a family, I got a wife, I got kids. I depend on the money from this business to keep things going." But I just kept running, just asking God. And I remember getting about 2 or 3 miles into that run, and I heard this voice in my head. It was just like, "You're done. Dante, you're done. You've done all you can do." And I remember, like, after hearing that, it was like this overwhelming feeling, this overwhelming calm, like this passion that I had in me to speak, to motivate, to inspire, to help others was actually being validated. It was being confirmed. And when I heard it, I was like, man, this is what I got to do. So when I got back home that day, I told my wife, I said, hey, God said. You know what I'm saying? She said, well, if God's told you to do it, then you got to make whatever move you got to make. And I lost a lot of money. I lost some relationships. It was a lot of stuff that happened as a result of that move. But I'll make that move 100 times over, man. I mean, I'm so at peace. I'm in a place now where I get to be in spaces like this and share with millions of people my story. Because I know God put all of this in my life for a reason. He created these experiences for me, not only for me to go through them, but for me to learn from them and then help other people become better. Because there's somebody else out there struggling. Somebody else struggling. Like, just because you started a business, that don't mean that gonna be your business forever. Just because you got this job, you thought it was gonna be your dream job, that don't mean it's gonna be your job forever. At some point, man, something has to change for you. Because when you're a person of growth, like me, I know you are, you know, I'm that person like where when it's time to move, it's time to move. We ain't got time to be inactive.
Yep.
Like, we only got so much time on this earth, and we don't know when that time is gonna be up. So I had to take action on a life that I knew that I wanted for myself. And I ain't had time to be trying to explain to everybody why I'm doing this. It's like,
Hey, if you're listening, I want you to think about this. Our community needs you. So if I need you to grow your business, it's only one way for you to do it and make it happen, and that is with TSP Propel. TSP Propel is like Netflix for Black entrepreneurs. It's a go-at-your-own pace, self-study system of over 50 plus courses. In addition, we give you resources and templates to execute faster. And we're going to do monthly calls with my coaches to make sure you get everything you need and get your questions answered. For more information, visit www.tspropel.com.
it's time to take off. So to your question, man, it was something that was burning inside of me to do. A lot of people around me saw it, saw something happening. I felt something happening. And then that day came where I couldn't fight the resistance no more. Because if I would have stayed in that business, bro, I would have lost all type of relationships. Because I didn't want to do none of it no more. Like, I was like I'm done. And when I said I was done, I was done. And I did the best thing for that company, because now they can go on, do amazing things. And I went on to do amazing things on my end.
Now you coach and work with different entrepreneurs and people like that. What are some of the roadblocks around mindset you consistently see with people?
Oh, man. They just don't believe enough in themselves, man. They don't believe in their abilities enough. They need people to validate and confirm them for them and stuff. So by doing that, they choose not to take action, you know, and that's why I really try to help people. Like, man, look, any action is better than no action. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we deal with people who are perfectionists. You know, come on, man.
That's good. Yeah.
Nobody.
Me and Ryan, we just did an episode on risk and taking risk in business and how risk is necessary for growth, right?
Yeah.
You know, I was telling a story about we went on a collaborative retreat and somebody said, hey, you know, what's the difference between my business that got to $1 million but staying around $1 million and these people's going towards 10? And when I really analyzed it after a few hours, I was like, people going towards, they take risk and they taking like risk in their business in order to get there. And if you playing it safe, you playing it small, right? But like you said, when I even think about risk, like most of the time, a lot of times fear of risk boils down to a lot of people fear themselves.
Yeah.
And like you said, like not believing enough in themselves.
Yeah.
Like the people that believe in themselves, they be doing stuff they got no business doing. You know what I'm saying? And like, and some of them shouldn't believe in themselves the way they do, right? But they literally be out here wilding out in these streets.
Yeah.
And you like, you don't know none of this stuff you're doing. But like you said, that believing in yourself is powerful.
But I think that comes from, that's good, because it makes me think about a message that I just shared. I have this group called Mindset Class where I help people with mindset issues and whatnot. And I did a teaching on procrastination. And one of the reasons why people procrastinate is because they fear making new mistakes. So a lot of time people won't take risks because maybe they tried to take a risk at one point and it didn't work out for them.
Yeah.
See, people don't look at the fact that something, just because it didn't work out for you, don't mean that it don't work. Just because you didn't hit your goal don't mean you're not gonna hit your goal. You know what I mean? You're further along now than where you were. You know what I'm saying? I always say, like, if your goal is to take 10 steps, but you only made 3 is better than no steps.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And failure is part of the process.
Yeah, it's part.
It's realizing that. I tell people all the time, I win more than most people because I fail more than most people.
Because people don't never see you. A lot of times people don't see the failures. Like, they'll look at you on the videos, your ads and all of this stuff. They look at, you know, how much money you generated and how many people you helping and stuff like that. But they don't see, you know, what happens when the cameras are off. And you know what I'm saying? When you in your room trying to figure it out and things looking crazy. You know what I mean? Like, they don't see none of this stuff. They just see I guess the glamorous side of, entrepreneurship. They don't see when you're struggling, but when you make a decision and that decision didn't fare
Right.
out the way you wanted to fare out, but you learned something.
Right.
And that's what a lot of times I try to get people to understand is like, man, you learned something. If you take it, again, it go back to that emotional piece. Like we get so emotional. We get emotional about the goal. We get emotional about, somebody else doing better than you, or you know what I'm saying?
Emotional when the client leave, emotional when the employee leave, emotional when your bank account ain't right. People, it's this is interesting because one of the things I'm always telling people is literally that, like, hey, you need to detach your emotion from the business, because with that emotion, a lot of times comes excitement, but also comes fear.
Yeah.
It also comes anxiety, angst, right? All these other different things. And all those things many times are not serving you or your people the right way, right? And I've seen people that, emotions overcome them when they don't hit a goal. Most when they do hit a goal. We did a class in training here in our Rosewood Training Center. And I was talking to one of the brothers that was in the class, and he said, hey, I'm afraid of what happens when I get too much business. And I said, well, let's figure that out when you get too much. Because right now, you ain't got enough, right?
You ain't got enough
and that's why you're here, and we're going to get you there.
Yeah.
But I was like, out of all the things to think about, what I don't want you having to worry about is, okay, when I get too much business, then I'm, afraid of that, because then I'm like, where am I going to find the people to do it? And, how I'm going to service these folks, and how I'm going to keep my reputation. That's all a valid questions.
Yeah.
But not right now.
But then you end up using those valid questions as excuses.
Exactly.
They easily turn into excuses. So now you don't want to take certain actions because you're afraid that you're going to get too much business. Like you said, worried about having too much business once you got too much business. Right now you don't have enough business. And then now, because that's a problem too. So handle the problem that you gotta handle right now, and quit looking so far off and looking at the negative. Well, I guess we can call it a negative, but always looking so off in the future, looking at what possibly can have, or what if, looking at all the what ifs, and just look at what is right now and what I need to be doing right now to get to that point where I got way too much business. You know what I mean?
That's right. That's good. That's good. All right. Any other roadblocks you see consistently come up with entrepreneurs when they sit in front of you or they in your classes?
Man, most definitely, man. I got to make light of the people who are afraid of live streaming and just, turning the camera on. Yeah, and I think that got to do a lot.
Is it? I was about to say, like, what's it really? Is it really about the camera? Is it about, like, say, confidence? Is it about, is it about physical stuff, physical appearance, or internally how they feel?
I think it's most definitely confidence. I think people will, if they don't feel like, well, I say it's confidence, and I say it's dealing with what is that I'm looking for? Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Because people don't see themselves, like they can look at you on doing your live, or you doing your video, or me doing my videos, whatever, and they can look at it and they sit there and think, I could never do that. But why? Why do you think it was easy for you to first start doing it? You know, for me, I remember when I first started doing, like, I didn't know what I was doing. I just turned the dang camera on and started talking. You know what I mean? But just like anything, hard things get easier over time. You just got to continue to keep doing it. I really believe in practice. Practice is how you build up your confidence. And I don't think people practice enough. They know they're not confident in this thing. The way you defeat the confidence is just committing to practicing on how to do this thing. Just continue to go live. Just continue. Even if you don't go live, just cut your own video on. Yeah. Present, you know what I'm saying? And do these things. So I just think people have a huge issue with confidence within themselves, and they have to look at what they can do to raise. I guess the other thing they could do is look at how they could level up their competence in whatever it is, so they can be more confident at it as well. So most definitely confidence, man. We can tap confidence all day long.
But that's good, because like you talk about, this is all getting the reps in. Because we at our last event, TSP Live, if you weren't there, you should have been there. Let me tell you that. Hashtag TSP Live 2022 to see everything you missed on social. But our last event, I showed, right before the conference, I found a video of the first thing that me and Ronnie had invested in. That was like a high ticket thing. It's like $14,000 to go learn about how to do a webinar.
Okay.
It was like one day. It wasn't even like 40 over years. Like that was like one day.
Yeah.
Hit or miss, right? We would never spend that much. We're super nervous. Went down to Tampa to this guy's office. And I totally forgot that he recorded the whole day, including us like going through the first version of the pitch. So I find this folder like 2 weeks before TSP Live, and it's like a pitch of me going through the pitch for the first time. So I'm like, oh, this is amazing. So we chop up some bits, show it at the event, and people are like, oh my God, you were so bad. For one, I wasn't that bad. I'm like, roll that back, right? I wasn't that bad. But the other thing is, people are like, oh my God, it's like they just think that you started where you at right now.
Yeah.
And like I said, a lot of times they trying to compare, their beginning to your end.
Yeah.
And not realizing that, hey, you know what? I'm pretty good at what I do because I've consistently been doing it. That piece, I think we did that VIP day was in 20, was it 13, 14 or something like that?
Yeah.
So we talking about 8 years,
Mm.
almost 9 years of me doing the thing over and over and over. That, first year we took that webinar deck and we did webinars every week, every 2 weeks at the most, right? All throughout for like the whole next year.
Wow.
So yeah, like a year later, I look totally different. So almost 10 years later, I'm gonna look totally different from that. But again, it's just about getting into reps and getting into practice. And if I got a framework, like once I know a framework, if I got a framework I can use where every time I show up, I do the same thing the same way, right?
Yeah.
I'm
It's crazy. It's crazy that you say like the framework, right? Because I think that's what keep people from putting in the reps. It's because they keep trying to reinvent something every time.
That's good.
Like it's crazy because when I was in the mastermind, it was 2019, and my coach at the time challenged us to do the 30-day live stream. We did like a 30-day live stream challenge. It was in September 2019. I never done live streams. Like I've done a few here and there, but you talking about 30 straight days.
I don't know if I done 30 straight days now.
Man,
Shout out to the coaches.
Now you talking about somebody who never done consecutive live streams, for one, wasn't confident in doing it, thinking about what am I going to talk about, dealing with all type of imposters. Who am I to be on here talking to anybody about anything regarding mindset or whatnot? But I remember taking that challenge, and I did all 30 days. We had to post our videos inside the group and all of that, man. And it was a couple of days it was tough because I was like, man, I don't feel like it, whatever, but I got it done. But when I think about it, the way I was able to get that done is because I created a process. I created something just like this. I had cameras already. I had my camera already set up. I even had this big white easel pad, like this little easel pad sitting by the camera so I don't forget some stuff, like put some points on there, whatever the case may be. I had a backdrop. I stole your idea. Like that was around the time around the pandemic when you had your whole backdrop and all that stuff in your office. But I put something up for it. But I eliminated the excuses. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of times what we do, we get started with something, we don't create a process behind it. It can be a small process. Just have the camera set up, have your location where you're gonna record at, whatever, right? So that's what I did, and that allowed me to be able to do it consistently for those 30 days. Did I have some tough days? Yes, I did. But at the end of the day, I knew it was important for me to get the reps in, and it was important for me to remove all the distractions. And once I did that, after those 30 days, man, I felt way more confident in doing those live streams. And now, I mean, look, I make money now doing live streams. You know what I mean? Like I'm coaching in people. My way of coaching is me going in people group doing a live stream over a message. You know what I mean? Like, and if they got questions, they put them in the comments and I ask their question. You know what I mean? But I'm able to do that and able to be confident on camera because I put in the reps. And even now, even though I get paid to do it now, I still look at it as putting in the reps because I can be better. You should always be striving to get better.
Now, one more thing I want to touch on, something you just talked about. You used that C word, consistency. How does consistency, how does somebody develop consistency? Somebody's listening and saying, hey, you know what? I want to show up online. I want to call people every day to try to get sales for my business. But like that consistency is just lacking. Like you have any tips or things they should do or ways they can even start to just show up and try to be more consistent in their lives?
First thing that come to my mind, man, you gotta build a system around whatever you want to be consistent with, right? So when we talk about personally, then you got to be a habit. You gotta know. I think the reason why people aren't consistent is because they did not make the thing they want to be consistent with important. People are consistent. Don't get it twisted. They just be consistent doing the wrong thing. They be consistent with going on social media. They be consistent with watching TV. They be consistent with all these things, but yet they say, I don't have time to do this and I don't have time to do that. So one thing I realize is that the way you can force yourself to be consistent with something, you have to create a boundary. You have to create a set of rules for yourself. You have to say at this time, from this, from 8 to 10, I'm gonna work on this one thing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Or whatever the case may be. And sometimes even if you don't feel motivated and do it, give yourself 10 minutes or so to get it started. Like sometimes you got to kick it off. But if you just give yourself a window, if you put it on your calendar, you tell yourself, okay, on this day or these days, I'm going to work on this thing.
Do this thing, yeah.
And just commit to the time. You see what I'm saying? That's what you really committing to. You don't want to do the work still, but if you just commit to the time and then you get at your desk in that space, like, hey, I already got this time to do this, so I might as well do it. Might as well do something. You know what I mean? So that's how I feel like people should just be able to overcome the inconsistency.
That's good because you make me think about as you say that. It's like a lot easier if you talk about like fitness and working out. It's a lot easier to say, no, I'm not going to do it in the bed than it is if you actually inside the gym. Like you make it to the gym, like that's the hard, like getting there is the hard part, right? It's like, because your mind is working on, like once you're in the gym, you got probably like a 95% chance you're going to work out. Once you're in the bed, it might be a 5% chance you're going to get out, right? So like you said, like that, like just putting yourself in the environment to be successful.
Yeah. You got and that's going to start with you. Like, you got to create the rule. Once you create the rule, you got to discipline yourself to honor your commitment. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can make an excuse to you all day. You know what I'm saying about something, but it looks different when you stand in the mirror and you make an excuse to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, you knew you could have got up, you chose not to. You knew you could have got the work done, but you chose.
I feel like you judged me directly now.
I'm sorry.
Don't look me in the face when you say that. Man. Just like they knew they could have got up. They didn't want to.
Yeah. They like insert that part.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? I should have looked at the camera.
Right, and there you go. That was your moment. Exactly, them man. I feel like I'm being judged here. All right.
No.
So this has been so good. So if people want to learn more about CEO mindset, they want to learn more about you. The service you do, stuff like that, how can they get a hold of you or follow you?
You can go to www.dantestephens.com. You know what I'm saying? The website will be, you on the website, you can find like how to start coaching with me. I have a coaching program called Mindset Class. I actually do 2 versions of that. One version, I do it inside of membership groups. So people who got paid membership groups who need a mindset coach, somebody going to help their members take action. I come in twice a month, and I deliver a customized message. So we talk about everything from limiting beliefs, procrastination, comparison, all of these things that are preventing you from taking action. That's what we talk about.
Nice.
And then I also do that with I got my own people individuals who want to come to the group.
Right.
I got kind of like my own group that I do it. So I do it for groups and I do it for individuals.
Okay.
But it's all group coaching. And then also on the website, you can book me to speak. So if you got an event, conference, school organization, anything like that, I speak on mindset as it pertains to taking action, because a lot of times I feel like people get in these conferences and these things like that, and they take a lot of notes, but they don't be taking no action. You know what I'm saying?
Talk about it.
So that's where I kind of come in and I'm like, yeah, I know mindset is not the thing that people like, oh man, people gonna pay all type of money for mine. But at the end of the day, man, you losing money if your mindset ain't right.
True.
So it's like strategy without discipline is a wasted investment. You know what I'm saying? So I come in and try to help them see that. Like, I'm actually losing money. I've paid all this money to be here. I'm hired this coach, did all this, but I'm still not doing it. Let me help you understand, like, this is why. Let me help you create that system that you need. So you can do that. And you can also get the CEO Mindset merch as well on that website. So that's how you can work with it, man.
All right, man. I appreciate you coming here, dropping knowledge to the people. Y'all, get a hold of it. You'll see everything he talked about at www.dantestephens.com. We also had a link down below in the show notes. I hope you enjoyed today's show. We drop new episodes every single week, so make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Enjoy the next episode.